Again, for anyone who's just joined, if you don't want your face being shown on the recording, you can turn your camera off. You don't have to have your camera on. And as well as that, in the chat you should see a link, and that should be where you submit your attendance for this workshop.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aurora. I am a current student. I graduated in May with my cybersecurity degree, associates. I'm working on the liberal arts so I can complete my transfer over to the U of A.
Alex, I'm also one of the peer mentors. I'm almost finished. I'm a current student at Pima. I'm almost finished with my my associate's degree. Gonna transfer to the U of A in the fall. And my focus is programming and Linux.
All right. Do we have anybody that's familiar with Linux, or is everybody just learning?
Well, I can speak for myself. I'm just learning.
We can also do a Q&A, I'm noticing here, so I can turn that on, and if anyone has questions, they can put that in the Q&A.
Okay. All right.
I'll try to answer them.
All right. All right, so right now what I'm doing is I'm going to install Linux Mint, the Cinnamon version. And this is through VirtualBox. I don't know if anybody's worked with VirtualBox as of yet. So it's basically a virtual machine, and you can run whatever OS you want to run in that without having to dual boot it with your OS, which is most likely Windows. So we just go through and select English, continue, stick with US English. And the virtual machines are really good, so you don't have to make all these permanent changes. Uh-oh. We're only at 13.4. Should I slide that over some more? All right, let's quit that. And let's start again. It's not going to let me go back. What's everyone have their what should I say? Their curiosities about Linux? Is there any one thing in particular or just general?
It's kind of silent.
It is.
I know my interest is just pretty general, considering I want to be able to use the computers that are in the Cybersecurity Operations Center and also in the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range, since they're running Linux. So I'm very much a beginner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyone else?
Perfect. That's okay to not when diving into this. Of course, you don't when first starting out, so it's good to kind of absorb all that. Yeah, gaining what we're gonna explore once we get this to work, of course.
Should I reset? And then
Yeah, we can actually reset.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it'll let us. Let's do.
Because the VM's still on.
Yeah.
If you click the X at the top right, you should be able to get the option to shut it off.
Power down.
For specific labs and tutoring, this might help with generally like, understanding how Linux works in the command line. For specific labs, you may have to talk to one of the tutors at the. Some of our tutors reside in the cyber warfare range, others in the learning center. That'll depend on their schedule, so maybe look into that.
Yeah, once you start getting into like some of the other classes, you'll work with the virtual boxes quite a bit. So this will be a good kind of visual. So what we're doing is we're gonna load, we have the virtual box set up, the virtual machine set up, and we're gonna go ahead and load Linux Mint on there. So we just name it. This is where it's gonna be saved. And then you go down here to other, and you're gonna select your download right here. We're going to skip the unattended installation, go through to the next page. Oh no.
Is it because of the same name? So
Yeah.
new name, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Let's up that one. Let's up this one. So this is just giving it enough room to function, your base memory and your processors. I believe for the Linux ones, it's usually like 4.
I think it depends on like functionality too. So it's okay to give it 1, but it's usually a lot slower that way. And
yeah,
of course, with this will also depend on your hardware as well, because you may not have the hardware capabilities to give it more than 2 cores.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And from here, we're going to create the virtual hard disk. And what do you think I should slide it down to or up
Maybe we
to?
should just leave it alone.
Yeah,
that might be
okay.
good enough. Yeah.
All right. All right, so we got that loaded, and this shows you the machines you have on your virtual box, and this is the one we're going to work with. This is powered off right now, so we're going to go ahead and start it. And then also, did we put in the reference sheet, the link for that?
No, we haven't. You can go ahead and.
So we do have a Linux command line sheet, like a reference sheet, and those are always good to have for Linux, especially when you're bouncing around between Linux and Windows. You'll kind of get confused, because I know sometimes I do. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So 200, can everybody see that?
Yeah, it's a little small still.
Is it still a little small?
Yeah,
I'll
it's
make
still a
it
little
bigger.
small. Maybe you can blow it up a little more.
Okay. All right, so let's make it bigger. Let's start that one. If it'll let me. All right, if I need to make it bigger, let me know. Can everybody see that? Or nope, I'll make it bigger. I think it should be bigger. All right. So now it's just loading everything. The one thing about Linux I noticed with where I was really running into issues is when their Linux is very particular about spaces, backslashes, things like that. And sometimes after working with the commands for a while, you kind of forget, and sometimes you don't see your mistakes. So that will make a big difference. So just keep that in mind. All right. And we're going to go ahead and install. So basically what the command line, the way I look at it, is just operating your laptop, your desktop, just like you would through the GUI, the graphic user interface. It's just like clicking the buttons, except you're kind of streamlining it with the commands. So I know, like with my Linux laptop, sometimes I'll just fire that thing up, and first command I bring up the CLI box, and the first command I usually put in there is the sudo apt update, and it'll just download all your updates. And it's instead of watching the wheel turn. All right, so we're sticking with the English. US English. No, we don't necessarily need that for that. Alex, how do you like the Linux operating system versus Windows?
It's nice for programming stuff, of course. And since it's like open source, it's usually, I guess to me, it's a little bit better than Windows. I mean, with Windows, like you have to it forces you to kind of restart when updating. This is mostly just preference.
All right, install. I kind of feel the same way, but it's interesting to learn something completely different. So,
What distro?
what's that?
And what distro are you using?
We are using the Linux Mint Cinnamon.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let's go. So it'll take you, it does the same thing with Ubuntu. So we're just going to name this one Linux Virtual. And you'll go through the same steps when you start working with the VirtualBox as well. So that'll be the computer name. This is the username. So it'll log in automatically. And then it'll depend on whatever class it is that you're using the VirtualBox for. Sometimes it'll take you step by step through all these procedures, and it'll tell you what specifications you should use just to make it easier. So Linux and Unix have a pretty long history that goes pretty far back. But I know Windows Windows can get really expensive at times. So like Alex was saying, a lot of this is open source. If you have like a spare laptop laying around or something, you can just you can put that image on that laptop, or you can use a VirtualBox and not have to commit to anything. But it's pretty interesting to learn. And there's a few commands that are similar between Windows and Linux. Like you have your IP config with Windows, and Linux it's the IF config, and that shows you all your network configurations. So a few similarities, but they are kind of distinct. Is anyone taking McGregor's classes, or is everybody taking Eric Giroux's class?
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but do we want to paste the link to the cheat sheet? The cheat sheet.
Oh yeah.
All right, go ahead and do that. I don't know if I think they have access to it as a viewer.
Okay. Let's see.
Just let us know if it doesn't work.
Okay. Let me get my other window.
It's asking me for access.
Okay, so it doesn't work. Yeah, it's because only for people in.
So I've had this happen a couple times. So I don't know if it'll happen the same way on your end, but you might receive an email and you just need to grant access through that email.
So I think it's because it has something to do with the organization. Since some of the students are outside the organization, I can't set it to go outside.
Oh, okay.
So either that, we might have to send like a PDF.
Okay. Actually, yeah. Remind me, and I can send that out with the post survey.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Is that you, TJ? I'll send you an email if you forget.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, just send me an email. That works.
Aurora, we can actually like show the cheat sheet off while it's loading, so that you can
Okay.
so that all you can kind of see like what it looks like.
Yeah. Let me stop sharing the one window, and then I will share this one. All right, so we got, here we go. Can everybody see this one? So the Linux command line reference, I'm sorry?
Oh, I said I can see it.
You can see it? Okay. All right. As long as the letters are big enough. All right. So for system information, just basic ones, who am I? Shows who you're logged in as. W shows who's online. You got your date, your calendar, CPU information. Anything that's in italics right here, you can fill that in with, like, let's say, whatever command. If you want to use the man pages are great. They're basically like a user's manual. So if you don't know what who am I is, or the different variations that you can use, you can just type in man and who am I, and it'll show you every which way you can use it. So man pages are great.
Is there a reason 137 didn't send something out this when you first started? Because that would have been helpful.
Actually, this is the first virtual workshop. So at the start, we didn't even have any of this compiled at that point.
Yeah, no, I understand that the virtual thing. I just don't understand why the introductory class to Linux, which you have to take as a requisite for the to whatever, didn't send something like this out.
You mean the reference or just the workshop in general?
No, just like basic commands. They're like, oh yeah, go to Red Hat, and there you go. That's basically the class, which is extremely non-helpful.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything like this? Oh, sorry. Just to interject real quick, is there anything like this that is with the books for those classes at all, or no, like a reference part of the book?
No, you have an online, like, and it goes chapter by chapter, and they do tell you some of this stuff, but like there's no overview. Like you have to pick out everything individually, which is silly.
Yeah, that's annoying that there's not like a reference guide at the back or something, or like an index.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I was going through the Linux classes, they did we got a ton of cheat sheets, and some of them you can go and browse around and find a lot of them.
Yeah,
but
you can.
yeah.
It's just what like, as far as I can tell from all of the classes, they're just the online assignments, and that's it. There's very little. There's not much on the syllabus. There's not much on anything. It's just like whatever they subcontract through.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope this helps. So we have kind of broken down, and there's so many more commands. So if you get curious, they are relatively easy to find. So system information, here's a few. And once everything loads up, we'll go ahead and I'll do like a live, some live commands, and it'll show you the output. File commands, you can list your directory listing. It's like if you were to look at Windows, like different users. So you can list all that out there. CD, change the directory. You can make new directories. Just be careful when you use the RM commands. Like the rimdir, you're removing a whole directory. But this is how you copy a file: CP space file, the name of the file. Like I said, italics you can fill in with stuff. You can copy files, move files. And there's file compression. There's so much more, but these are just a few just to start off with and kind of play around with. Has everybody had a little experience with virtual boxes or the VMs? I believe we use VMware.
I have VMware, but I've never gotten to the getting an ISO file, so it's basically just sat there. I just haven't found the time yet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you can and the good thing about the VMs is they can be reset. So you can just play around with those. But yeah, there's the file permissions, searching. I don't know what happened to the network. I gotta throw those in there. It should be on we have to update a little bit maybe. I apologize for the delay in the installation of the cinnamon.
It was originally Ubuntu, but that failed for some reason.
Yes, it kept failing. But as for Windows, has anybody worked with the command line in Windows before?
A little bit.
Okay. So you pretty much have the gist of how Linux will work.
Yeah. I've done some extremely simple batch files, and that kind of gives you a primer for it.
Okay. All right. So you kind of have an idea. So that's good. All right. We got a minute left.
I'll switch screens as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, FYI, everyone, I'm taking anyone that did the attendance, I'm taking the emails from that and then sending you a PDF copy of the Linux reference guide. So you'll have that shortly.
I just
For
like to
those
say
that haven't taken,
I agree. Sorry, I agree with everything Bahaha is saying as far as how the initial class is going. It's just like you get Red Hat, and it's like almost like you have to figure everything out for yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's very little instructions. In fact, I don't think I've talked to my professor at all this semester. So
I've talked to Eric a few times in emails.
well, I mean, it's not that they're not responding; it's to me. I've been able to figure everything out, but I'm extremely unimpressed with this class. It's like a 4-hour YouTube video could probably tube me about the same for free.
Good
get an
thing.
idea, I haven't really taken the classes. I've actually learned Linux on my own just by watching YouTube videos. So
Well, I think what happened is when they basically moved all the classes to online, they were kind of beforehand relying to teach people with professors and like in class and stuff, and now it's just like now it's all automated, and whoever they're going through is not. I mean, it teaches you some, but for people that want to like just mess around and I don't know, like want to learn socially and stuff, it just doesn't work.
yeah, like getting that hands-on experience is actually really, really valuable because it kind of helps you ingrain that information.
Yeah, I would definitely
Yes, and
suggest doing tutoring too. Like if you want more of that hands-on guide through an assignment, just to make up for the lack of that in your class.
yeah, there's been some classes where I've had that before, and I think it really kind of forces you to put those problem solving skills into play. Because I know, like with so many of my classes, especially with Linux, I had to sit there and like, well, how do I do this, and how do I get around that, or how do I compile this, and how do I get it to do what I want it to do? So a lot of that is just, and it's all open source. So once I would find one thing, I'm like, oh, okay. So I would move on to something else. And so now it's like in my field, because I think before I even graduated, I got a job in IT. So it kind of forced me to sit there and like, okay, well, I got to get this done. So how am I going to do it? And so I now, like at the time, I'm like, oh gosh, why is it like that? But now I'm kind of like, all right, well, I kind of get where that my brain's kind of wrapped around that. So, but I am surprised that they haven't given you any kind of reference sheets. But that's what we're here for. So,
Well, I wouldn't have as much trouble if it was a 2.0 whatever class But this is introductory. This is a 101 class, and they're not teaching me much. So, I mean, in my opinion, the entire class is basically worthless for me.
Well, we'll try to supplement that for you. So hopefully it helps. Hopefully it really helps.
I was there Thursday for tutoring. I think it was Thursday or Tuesday. One of the days. I lost track. But I was there with I think his name was Alex. And that went real well. So the tutoring does help. But
Yeah.
but I do agree with ha. I do agree with a lot with what he's saying.
Yeah, and you know what? And the good thing about East Campus too is, since we do have the Center of Excellence there, there's so many great people, and there's so many Alexes too. There's so many Alexes. So if you've only run into one, there's plenty more to run into. But yeah, there's usually always somebody in the cyber warfare range. The data center, and that place it's like a small community there, and I really enjoyed it. So well, up until this point, because there's always somebody that's really helpful, and in the cyber warfare range. If you haven't been in there yet, they have, I don't know, 10 to 15 Linux, bare bones Linux devices. And you could just sit there and play around. And I know they have some games that are integrated on there where you can kind of test out your skills or try to get ahead of that learning curve. So it's pretty interesting. And there's plenty of books. And yeah, there's always somebody there to help. So I really did appreciate that whole community in there. Makes me wish I could actually physically be there more.
Yeah, that's part of my problem too. Is I'm like an hour away, and I tried doing virtual tutoring, but they don't offer it for the class. So it's like, guess YouTube it is.
Oh wow! So where are you at?
I'm currently taking 137.
I mean, geographically.
Oh, I'm Northwest Tucson.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh yeah, that's quite a ways away.
And I have to go
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. I live out in Catalina, so anytime I can try to make these, in-person workshops, it really benefits me. But yeah, it makes me want to try to be there more. But again, it's far.
Yeah. So when I was taking I'll admit this, when I was taking CIS 129 the first time, when it was Java, me and a whole group of other students, because that class was, especially with Java, it was really rough. It basically rewired my whole brain, and it was a pretty fun process, but at the same time, it was pretty frustrating because I didn't know what was left from right or anything. But like in your class list and stuff, like if you just reach out to somebody, I know there were times when we were going through like the midterms or like the finals, we would just get together on a Google Meet or a Discord. We ended up making a Discord channel, just trying to communicate with each other. Like none of us ever seen each other in person, but when we were, working on projects, as long as we did our own work, I mean, we would sit there in silence sometimes because we just needed that support. And if, we never did work for each other, but there was always somebody that got this part pretty good or somebody that got that part pretty good. So it was easy to kind of put the puzzle pieces together. So that was really good. And I've had similar experiences in a couple other classes, but it's just sometimes you have to reach out. But that was, I mean, really, sometimes we would sit there on video in Discord and it would be like, okay, are you still there? Are you still there?
just nice to have that lifeline of like knowing that you can ask that question if you have to, and there's
Yes.
other people that are in the same boat. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we spent hours, hours, hours. And now I believe the CIS 129 is it's Python. So which now I'm taking the better grade for, trying to get the better grade.
Not to interject again, sorry, I'm bugging everyone, but is everyone in the super users Discord? Because I think that's also another really good resource to ask questions for your courses. If not, you know what, I'm gonna put in the invite link in the chat just in case. And then also I gotta get out of here in the next 10 minutes. I'm picking up someone at the airport.
Well, thank you for sitting in, TJ. Sorry about the
Thank you
Bluetooth
for having
crash.
me.
Have a safe trip. All right, guys. So let's see if this one will power up. We're having quite a bit of trouble with Linux today. But yes, I definitely say reach out to your classmates. Or even me, I'd be willing to put I will be willing to put my email in the chat there. And yeah, sometimes we could just, talk shop or, help you out as much as I can.
Or like nothing, or if you can't find anyone else, you could go to the super users Discord and ask there, and then someone there might actually help you.
Yeah, I was
That's
definitely introduced to Discord through that. Okay, so let's go. Let's just X out of that one. Okay, so here we are. Linux Cinnamon. This one worked. Okay, so this little guy down here, that's your command line interface, your CLI. So this is your terminal. This is what you're going to work in. Basic commands. Let's say you want to list. Let's list all your. Let's list all the files, ls, and it's all lowercase. And this is what you have right here. This is just like Windows. You got your desktop, your documents, music, downloads, pictures, public, templates, and this is me right now, Linux Virtual. So this is the user. So if I type in who am I, enter, that's who I am right there, is Linux Virtual. And let me refer to my own little sheet here and we'll work through some of these commands. Okay, so let's try finger user. Finger, oh, nope, I'm editing my Linux command line reference sheet. Sorry about that. Finger Linux Virtual. Oh, so if you ever get this, it doesn't want to execute the command. Sometimes what you have to do is install, like it says right here, sudo apt install finger. So let's highlight this, right click, copy it, and let's paste it. So sudo apt, this is the general structure when you install a program through the terminal. So let's do that. And if you set it up, it'll ask you for your password. So when it takes forever for Windows to update, Linux will do it just that quick. That's what I love about Linux is you can just streamline everything.
Also, a quick note for the password. When entering your password, just know that Linux Mint does it a little bit differently. Like you will be able to see like your characters, but when you enter your password, something like Red Hat or Ubuntu or something like that, you won't actually see your characters when you type it in. So when you type it in, it looks like you're not typing anything, but in reality, you just can't see it. If that makes sense. I don't know if
Yes.
there's a better way of demonstrating it there.
Yeah, good point. Sometimes it'll look like you're not, the cursor doesn't move. Yeah, that was a good point. Sometimes it doesn't show that. So if you,
You're wrong though, so that's a good way to know.
what's that?
I said if it doesn't look like you're typing, just put something in, press enter, and then it'll deny you access usually, and then you're like, oh, okay, well it's just not showing me now.
Oh yeah, yes, that's correct.
That's also a good way of telling.
So if we go down here, we just push the up arrow, it'll give you your last command and enter. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Let's go up a couple. Okay, so Finger Linux Virtual, that's me. This is my login, this is my directory. And all the information, well, so far, considering it's a new virtual machine. I have no mail. I have no plan. That's so sad. Okay, so let's go on to man pages. If anybody's curious about anything, just go ahead and type it in the chat. Hopefully one of well, eventually we'll catch it, or just go ahead and pipe up a little bit.
Q&A section, I think, is a good way to put your questions in. So if you have any of those questions, put it in the Q&A.
All right, so let's do man if config, and it'll show you the man pages. So this is basically just directions. So this is your if config, Marius. Can you close my door, please? Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to close my office door. Thank you.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but it might help people out as man short for manual.
Yes. So these are the different versions of this you can use. if config without the brackets. Make sure you put a space and then the -v. All those, and yeah, you can. There's so many variations. Like I cannot even cover it in a day. Or
yeah, some man pages like this one contains an example. Like some of them have like a specific examples. If you want to do something specific, you can look at that specific example and then base what you want to do off of that example, which is pretty cool.
yes. So it'll pretty much tell you what it's gonna display. Got your address, families, and here's your options down here. So -A, it'll display all the interfaces which are currently available, and even if they're down. Or usually if they're, does it show if they're disabled usually? I've never really paid attention. Yeah, it should. -S, so you would put them if config space -S, display a short list. You got your verbose, and then interface. It'll show all the information about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And pretty much everything, it'll just explain everything that's in there. And you can see how long the list goes. It'll go on. And sometimes just to get familiar with it, that's what I used to do, is just type in man and whatever command, because I don't always get them right either, and I don't even know all of them. So I'll just sit there and man trace route, man SSH, man whatever you're curious about, because it'll, and then you can play around with it and just look at everything it has, all the lovely information it has in there. So press Q to quit. and we're back to where we started. Let's do file commands. We did the ls. We could do
I'll do
ls.
cd slash.
What's that?
CD slash.
CD slash.
Yeah.
Or we can do cd. Well, how about we make another directory? So the reason this isn't changing, you see how it says Linux virtual at Linux virtual dash Linux or VirtualBox, is because there's no other directories. So it's just going to stay on the one home directory. So just to show you differences, I'm going to make another directory that's McDeer. And then let's just say CIS 137. Oh, do I need to put the slash? Nope. So a lot of the times when your commands do go through, it'll just show another line. And the way we can test this is if we change directories. So we made the directory CIS 137. So we're in the home directory now. Let's go ahead and cd change directories. Oh, it didn't do it. Me and Linux do this all the time. Nope, permission denied. Any suggestions, Alex?
Type ls to see where your directory is.
Oh, it is there.
Yeah, it's just in the home folder. So that's kind of what ls is used for, is basically allowing you to list all the directories you're currently in. Of course, you could do ls and then where the file location, like a location to like a file or a directory. But typing in ls by itself allows you to basically list everything that is in your current working directory. So your current working directory is where your prompt is located at. So that little squiggly there just means it's your home directory, which is typically in /home/ and then your username.
So I know how to go down the tree, but how do you go up the tree? Because I've had trouble getting into the root by when you're in home sometimes. I usually figure it out, but I can't remember what the correct way to do it is.
So to go up a directory, it's a little shorthand. You use cd .. And that's
cd
the
dot.
way to go up.
Okay, I was using dot and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. cd ..
Yeah. And dot on its own just means your current working directory. So just one extra period there, and then it will bring you up.
All right. Thanks.
And I think you have to put spaces between the CD. It should be 2 periods, not 3.
There you go.
Like that. Yeah. There we go.
We could probably throw that one in there too. And then going down, it's your slash, what is it, 2 dots or 3 dots?
So when you go down, it depends on what sort of part
Where
of the
you're
directory you want to go to. So you type in CD, and then you type in the name of the directory, and then a slash at the end. Because if you do a slash at the beginning, then you're starting out a specific path. So you're starting with root, and then you go into like /home, and then your username, and then the directory you just made. And yeah, tab complete. Thanks for mentioning that. Tab complete really helps out, because sometimes you don't know what Yeah.
Yeah. And you can just try these things over and over because it's not going to hurt anything.
Is it double tab or is it triple tab that gives you a list?
I think it's double tab to get a list.
Okay.
Oh.
Usually if I'm stuck like this, I just do an ls just to make sure I'm in the correct place. And then if I don't see that directory, I'm not in the right place.
Yeah. So you see the difference between these squigglies here and then the /home? All right. Let's see. We can do, so we made the directory. ED. See where it'll do. And then there you go. It takes you back just like we were up here.
And just to make sure I'm in the right place, do an ls.
Mm-hmm.
And if the command line is a bit of a mess, there's a command called clear, which allows you to clear a terminal. So, or Control L as the shorthand.
There we go. Yeah, I do a lot of clears because I can go on forever and ever and ever. And they'll get pretty long. But once you close your terminal and you open it back up, you'll start brand new again. It's just like clearing it out.
Yeah, history still works even if you clear it out, so you can always go back to.
Anybody see anything they're curious about on these ones? We can create a file. Or where are you guys at in your Linux classes right now? Is there something you want to try out or see demonstrated?
Well, I think for 137, at least for my class, is wrapping up. We have finals, so it's basically just going to be redoing comprehensive on everything.
Oh, okay.
But I'm in I think it's a 16-week class, so I think that's the latest. But this is 137. This isn't 20, whatever the advanced one is.
Okay. So right here, I'm going to create a file called ALS. So I just created that with the touch command, and that's the name of the file. So let's go ahead and list everything. And there's my file. So the blue is the directories and the ALS is the file.
Is
And
Vim?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking if Vim or Nano is on this distro.
Vim and Nano are pre-installed in the majority of Linux distributions.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that.
So typically the blue, in case anyone's wondering, this is distro specific, so doesn't mean it's always going to be the same way if you're using Red Hat or Fedora or Ubuntu. It is just Mint specific. So of course you'll have colors that indicate specific. It's not a standard, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like the Kali looks, the colors are totally different. It's basically the same setup, whatever files or directories you have in there, it'll list them right there. So let's see, does anybody have did anybody have their midterm final? I think I might have it from 137 somewhere. Go ahead.
I said there was no midterms as far as I can tell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like everything's moved online, so I don't know what they've changed, but it's very different, I think, than what your experiences were.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me shut off my camera really quick because I know exactly where I know exactly where some of those commands are. I'll just take a couple minutes. Alex, you want to take over for just a second?
Yeah, sure. So, assuming there's no questions at the moment, or you have any questions regarding this workshop, things we could probably improve on? Any feedback? Getting people interested in the advanced classes to do something like running through examples of an assignment. Yeah, that might actually be a good idea. To sort of, I haven't taken, like I said, I haven't taken the Linux classes. I've just learned Linux throughout, just learning it on my own time, going through like a virtual machine, playing around with it a little bit. But yeah, getting into the more the advanced stuff to get people interested in sort of getting into that, so getting people interested. Yeah, I think that that's some good feedback there.
All right. Okay, cool. So we got, I actually found one of them, and we can go through and just test some of them out. So if we run the command, we'll do the little, what is this called? The tilde?
Now the squiggly, yeah, I think it's called the tilde.
All right, so practice. Setup. Setup.sh. So this command right here, this will set up a whole new directory named practice and put some files into that directory, which I don't have any files except for ALS. So might put that in there. So that'll create a whole new directory. Nope.
But the only issue is that file doesn't exist in the home directory.
Yeah.
So you'll have to create that by either copying it from somewhere like a Git repository, or just create it manually by like using a text editor like Nano or Vim to create those files.
Yeah.
So Touch is one way, but then you can instead of using Touch, which just creates an empty file, what you can actually do is you can type in Nano before it and then the file name, and then it'll bring you to a text editor where you can put in text and write stuff to a file.
Out. Sorry, my dogs just came in. All right, so we are in Nano now, and this is file. And then we just put in whatever you want to be in your files. So down here on the bottom, there's a little bit of a directory. This is your help. Write out, where is, read file. I never really got too good at Vim or Nano. I would modify some files, stuff like that. But how much experience do you have with that, Alex?
Nano is pretty straightforward. Vim, I have some intermediate knowledge on, so I know a little bit of the shortcuts.
Gotta love getting, because you forget to hit colon.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was pretty much my experience with that is Vim. Same thing, a little bit of intermediate experience, but a lot of it was just modifying the files that were already written. We'd have to scroll down and modify or uncomment part of or a couple of the lines or something. So
yeah, I think in 137 and the new one they had us edit a file, but my issue was they're like, yeah, do this, and it's like, cool, but you're not telling me what this does. Like, explain what the file was or what it does. It just said edit this. And
Oh, yeah. So
it
you
was
don't know where the differences were.
well, it was I think it was either a batch file or a program file, but they were like, oh, you want to make it do this, and then it's like, and then they're like, show the answer, and then it's like, oh, you have to edit this, but they never told us. I don't know. It was just really weird, and I don't think anybody thought that through because they gave us a problem. They're like, okay, solve it, and then if you're having trouble, there was like, show the answer. So you click on show the answer, but like this is programming knowledge, and they don't tell you anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
So answering the question, does Nano and Vim serve the same purpose? They sort of do. So they're both text editors. So they do this pretty much the same thing, except Nano is more targeted towards beginners, whereas Vim is a little bit more complicated for beginners because it's always like a challenge to sort of. Vim is more expert level. Would I say expert level? I'd say like there's a lot more features on it than Nano. Like a lot more usability in terms of editing files compared to Nano. But yeah, they both pretty much serve the same purpose.
It's like Notepad versus Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And it does come with Vim Tutor. Just reiterating what
Yeah, the Vim that also has its own set of man pages. So there's that. Let's see. I don't think I've ever worked with Nano too much.
So
So this
to
time,
so to guide you, you type in text as you normally would, like with typing on the keyboard. And if you want to exit, you press Control X to exit. And then ask if you want to save, you press Y to say yes, and then enter, and then it'll quit and save.
all right, so we do want to save that.
Yes.
It's just like with programming, you can have a bunch of lines that pound sign or hash sign. That's just a comment. So if I wanted to make that line active in my file, I would go ahead and just get rid of the hash or pound. So
Yeah, you
go.
not on the text editor, but later on you might want to talk about backslash versus forward.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, because like on the 137, they use I think it's forward slash a lot, but they never tell you what it does.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and 137.
Yeah. So at first I was using Shift Tab because I was like, oh, I just got to go down a line, and then I was thinking forward slash was like for moving up or down a directory or something, but no, it's just the next line for the next command.
Yeah, like the pathway.
Yeah, they don't tell you anything about it. They're just like they literally never mention it. So it's like it messed me up for probably the first week because I couldn't figure out why is this command not working, and I ended up having to it.
All right, I got you.
And then enter to save the file. There we go.
All right.
If we do cat file, then we should see the contents of it. That's just another way of printing out all the contents of the file just through the terminal.
And there you go. This is my file. All right, I'm going to bring up my little cheat sheet again. Anyone else have any curiosities about any of the commands? Any questions? Anything you want to try out? We can copy the file. So let's CP file to ALS.
Oh, maybe append.
Append.
What is it? The caret, the shift period button, the arrow to the right, double that.
Oh yeah, that yeah. We can go over how you can like write to a file by
Yeah,
using bash scripts. Yeah. I get what you mean.
So what do we want to append?
So you want to type in echo,
Mm-hmm.
and then in quotation marks, just put any text, any form of text. And a space, space, and then you put in the shift period,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put in your name of the file.
Which one do we want to pick a file? Want to do it to ALS?
ALS2, and space between those two.
Oops. All right. And then it shows you what we just appended.
So this is pretty much typing in the files like manually through the command line. There's a reason we use like Nano and Vim, because it's a little bit I guess easier to like a text sort of like writing in a notepad compared to like copying in a command prompt and then having it done manually like that. This is also useful for like when you do bash scripting, which is a whole other deal in of itself.
A whole other horse. Yeah, so pretty much it streamlines it all rather than clicking around and having to copy and paste or going in your folders through the GUI. So it just kind of
And
really
this is also really useful if you have a command that that has output, because what you can do is you can actually print that output to a file, and then you'll be able to read the contents of that file and see the output that command produced. So you can do like ls, and then you can do that symbol, and then you can print to like a file, and then all the listed directories that ls printed out for you will be in that file. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's also that what is it that prints out the 10 lines?
You're talking about head and tail?
Yes, head and tail right there. Yeah, they're right there. Head file, output the first 10 lines of the file, tail file, which is the name of the file, output the last 10 lines.
Yeah, you
So,
can also make it as much or as little as you want to.
yeah. Has anybody had to deal with the file permissions yet?
Yeah, that was interesting.
So right here, I don't know if anybody has the reference sheet pulled up, or do you want me to share it?
We can like put it side by side, maybe.
Okay, we can do that.
Or you can put it in the other window. Yeah, you can put it in the window that you're sharing.
Let's do this.
How often do you use permissions in Linux, though, if you're not an administrator? Like, is that used in programming or just basic like L1 stuff?
With permissions, I think it usually, I guess, depends on like what you're trying to do. Like, if you don't have permission to like, since I daily drive Linux, sometimes I have issues with permissions. Like, especially if I'm like copying stuff from one drive to the other, like like an external drive to like the current running drives. Like, if I have like stuff in that drive that doesn't have the right permissions, then I can't access it in some cases. So I have to change those permissions.
Is there a command for that, or you just sudo something? Or like sudo copy? Would that work?
It's the chmod.
chmod changes your permissions. But if you want to typically do that, I think it also depends on your permissions to that file. So you might have to do sudo chmod, because what sudo does basically allows you root privileges or super user privileges, allowing you to do
Yes,
stuff
like
that
a
yeah.
temporary, like force the command. So right here in the file permissions, you have your chmod, and it's like chmod 777. That's all read, write, and execute for all. That's the that's pretty much the top of the line right there, and like chmod 755. So it'll add up to the 7, the 7 being the max.
I don't typically memorize the numbers at all. This is I guess like it'd be better to have like sort of reference guide for it. But I guess you don't technically need the numbers too, because there's also like a shorthand for it. So like if you want the file to be executable, you do like plus X instead of those numbers. I think there's
Yeah,
a few ways of doing it.
yeah. But the chmod, I know there's references to it. So that's always good to know, because I know like I had some trouble with the chmod for those classes.
Oh, and to show permissions, we should also use ls-l. I think that's what that does. Shows all the current permissions of all your files and directories, in case you don't know what they are.
So make sure to put a space after the ls. Otherwise it'll do something like this. So ls space -l, and there's all your permissions right here.
And so what these permissions mean at the way to the left, I believe the first one is either user specific or group specific. I'm not actually entirely sure how the order goes. I don't remember it.
I believe it's the user. I think the user
User, group, and then other. That's right. It's user, group,
Yeah.
other. Yeah. So R means write. No, R means read, not write. W means
Mhm.
write, and then X means execute. It's basically telling you that all the users of all the groups are allowed
And
to
then the world.
read and write.
Yeah. So it'll
And
go
then other
user
read.
and world. So the first set, oops, these ones, that's the user. This is the group, and then the world. And then whenever it has a little dash, they have no permissions.
Unless it's the first dash, which either indicates that it's a file
Yeah.
in and of itself, and then there's also, notice in these directories there's a D that stands for a directory. So that's how
Yeah.
you know it's a directory, and you can change your directory into it or put files into it.
So
And the user
this
and the
one,
group, the users and the groups correspond with right next to it, which is which corresponds to the to that number right next to it.
the one.
Linux virtual, and Linux virtual. This is a user, and then this is the group that they're assigned to.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what it's saying is that this user has read and write access, and anyone in this group has read and write access.
And then these ones with the group 2, those are the permissions that they have.
I'm not sure what those numbers mean. I do know like these Linux virtual, that's the user, and then it's the group. It's a little bit different if we do ls-l// because that's our root directory. Oh, those are the hard links. Okay, I didn't know that.
What's that?
ls-l space /.
There we go.
So notice here it's owned by a completely different user, or this is entirely different. So we see root instead of virtual user. So basically,
Mhm.
this means that it's owned by root. It's owned by the root user, and it's well, not owned, but like anyone who can read, write, execute, anything like that can only be anyone in the root user or anyone in the root group.
And the L, I believe, is that for local?
I believe that stands for links.
Okay, I'm thinking local, like the local user.
I believe that just means like links. So essentially, what it is
Okay.
just linking files together. So, kind of hard links and soft links, like what was being talked about in the chat.
Oh, I haven't even seen the chat. Oh, yep. All right. All right, let's move on. Anybody have any questions or?
I know we breezed through a lot.
Yeah, we're kind of blowing through it.
Mm. And how long do we want to keep this workshop going? Because we have been an hour after.
Okay. Well, it's up to you guys. We can keep going for a little bit longer, for another 10-15 minutes, or we can take your questions. We can do a couple more demos. I know it's a lot to digest.
Especially this late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often will you be doing these?
That really depends on you guys. If you want to see us back, we can. Just go ahead and I believe there should be a questionnaire afterwards. But yeah, just reach out to any of your instructors or advisors and let them know, or let us know. We can do a questionnaire, a post
I don't know
questionnaire.
about the more advanced classes, but maybe you could talk to somebody for the 137s and just have this sent out to all the new students. Maybe after you clean it up a little bit, the cheat sheet, because that would be really helpful for that are brand new to Linux.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
And we do have a cheat sheet from the previous fundamentals workshop, and I might be trying to, once we kind of get this sorted out, I'll probably try to like merge that with that cheat sheet, because this one like has like the hierarchy, like kind of how the file system works, as well as maybe adding some of the extra commands that I don't think were on the cheat sheet that we just demonstrated.
Yes, it'll actually give you a visual of how the operating system is set up, which is really good to visualize in your head as you're moving up that hierarchy. Anything else?
No, this was actually a very nice introduction. So thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, Aurora, for your time.
You're
I
welcome.
enjoyed it. Looking forward to more of these.
So the virtual, does the virtual work for you guys instead of having to go all the way to East Campus?
It's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad to watch and learn. But you guys are just, starting this, right? Kind of getting a feel for it.
Yeah.
So I think the more you do it, the more you do these, I think it'll get a lot
more
progress
organized,
a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very helpful.
All right. Well, thank you guys. All right. Well, if anybody doesn't have any questions or Anything else? Just make sure you check in. That'll give us a better idea of whether or not to continue, especially with the virtual ones, because this is the first virtual one actually. So
Yeah.
we were the guinea pigs.
It was no, you guys did very well. I learned some good commands. It was very cool.
All right. Well, thank you guys. So we will put out a questionnaire afterwards. And depending on your feedback, yeah, fill that out for us.
And maybe try to remind TJ to add the PDF for the cheat sheet. Maybe we'll add both the cheat sheets on there. I'll have to ask him to do that.
You saw in the chat, but somebody mentioned Git. Maybe having a basic introduction to Git would be helpful too. Because I know nothing about that.
Okay, yeah.
Can we like show that off real quick? I don't know if Mint has Git pre-installed. You can check real quick. Just type in Git.
Yeah, I've just been to their website before and I've seen you could pull stuff, but it didn't really make much sense to me. I mean, some of the links. Does 235 teach you then? Sorry, somebody's in the chat.
Yeah, we can install it.
Yeah,
definitely.
We went over a little bit and getting the physical one. Maybe we should have done that in this one. I don't know if you guys have the time. We can go over how to use Git real quick. How to like clone a repository.
I gotta get going, but
yeah,
maybe
this will be
another time.
recorded though, so.
You guys take care. Thank you so much.
All right.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, here we go. What should we do, Alex?
First, we need to get cloned. So we need like a repository of some sort. So the best place to find lots of Git repositories is GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually go on your web browser and then search up github.com and then try to find a. For our physical workshop, we did the GitHub for NeoFetch. No, not NeoFetch. NeoVim, which is a forked version of Vim essentially.
Is that recorded? Because I haven't been.
Yeah, sorry, it was recorded. I'm not sure if it showed.
All right, so I got it pulled up on GitHub.
Where do these recordings go to? Is there a YouTube channel somewhere, or?
I think it goes to a Google Drive somewhere.
Okay.
We did just launch like a YouTube channel on we're making pure mentor videos for it.
Okay, well you should post that in the super user Discord then if it's not already there, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know they were talking about it before, but I didn't know it'd been done.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk to TJ about that. See if we can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, so I have GitHub pulled up. I don't know if you want to go through it real quick, or we can save that.
We could do it on the browser tab that's right next to the virtual machine. GitHub.com, and then we could search NeoVim.
I did it on my own window over here. I'm like, it's pulled up. You said NeoVim?
GitHub, yeah, NeoVim. Right there. So it would be a good idea to do it through the virtual, because we're going to be copying the repository link. So click the green code. Scroll down a little bit, and then copy. And then go back to the terminal.
This is where I started getting confused on the website because I see all these folders and it's like, where do I do I need all of these separately? Does it all in one?
No, basically it's just labeling all the folders because what GitHub is basically
It's a storage place
it's a
for code.
repository for Git projects. So Git is a repository management system
Mhm.
which stores source code, or you can use it for other stuff, but it's mostly used a lot for storing software source code. So like an example would be the Linux kernel, which is open source, entirely open source. It uses Git. It's not on, I think a portion of it's on GitHub, but they use a sort of different system.
Yeah, there's so much on there.
Yeah, so if you type in git clone and then you paste that link, you would be able to paste that repository and therefore all the file you are seeing on the web browser when looking at the Git page, the GitHub page.
And there it goes.
So is git clone a command then?
Git clone is a command, yeah. So git is the command's name, and then clone is the specific thing you want to do with Git. So basically, what we're doing is we're grabbing the repository from GitHub, and then we're cloning it onto our computer, so we can so we grab all the files that is on the repository.
Okay, so yeah, you just git clone and then you just paste the URL and then you're good to go.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
And then there's other more advanced stuff you can do with Git, like switching branches. So essentially, that's what Git's really used for is better workflow for source code.
Are those different from forks, branches?
Those are different. So forks is essentially an entire clone of it, but then it's sort of different. It's kind of confusing to explain. So branches are more like, let's just say you did some, you have this original thing you did with the code.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make a modification, but you don't know if that modification is going to ruin everything. So what you do is you create a branch of that.
For beta testing, basically?
For testing, yeah, exactly. So a lot of repositories have a main branch, for production code, and then they have some sort of testing branch where they test stuff.
Stable versus beta then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the forks are a little bit different because they're just they copy the code, but instead of it being a branch, it's entirely new source of entirely new code based off the source code.
Okay. Yeah, I know what forks were. I just weren't sure what the branches were. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff you can do. I know with my my last Linux class with McGregor, I downloaded Ansible and I fired up just automated, I think it was 5 or 6 different servers and had them up within seconds. I mean, you can do anything just through the command line.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna head out. Some of this was pretty useful. Thanks for the program.
No problem.
You're welcome. All right, sounds good. You guys have a good night. All right, so Alex, we'll go ahead and you want me to convert the reference sheet to a PDF, and we can go ahead and, is there a certain place we want to upload it or get it out to everybody?
We can probably send it through email to GJ and then have him get that out.
All right, sounds good. I'll do that.
I think on top of that, you should also grab the PDF or download a PDF version of the original the fundamentals cheat sheet in the Pure Mentors general resources.
Yeah, the one with the hierarchy on it.
Yeah, Linux/Unix commands cheat sheet.
Oh, okay. There was one in there. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the other one I started working on. So turn that one into a PDF file too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys can just post the PDF in the super user club, that would be helpful.
All right,
we'll do that.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. So yeah, I can compile both of those. and just probably merge them, turn them into one. And then we'll do that and I'll send it over to TJ.
And just to make sure it's the right one. Yeah, peer mentors, 3 general resources, and then CIS fundamental resources.
Was that the one in the blue font?
Yeah, it should be the blue doc, and it should say Linux/Unix commands cheat sheet.
I wonder, is that the one I started working on?
That's the one actually me and Hassel worked on.
Oh, okay. So I have another copy of another one that I started working on, and then I started doing the Google Doc. So I'll try to compile all those together and just get them all in one.
All right.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I'm glad the cinnamon worked.
Yeah. I heard like Ubuntu like recently has not been that stable.
Yeah, I've noticed. But yeah, I'll
I
have to play
didn't
around.
think it was that unstable, as in it didn't boot at all. Like I expected more like issues with like Snap and everything.
Yeah, that was like probably like the third. That was actually the fourth time I tried to do that one. And yeah, it was just not having it. So that was, I think, the 22. It wasn't the 2210, the 220407 or 0704. That's the one that was giving us the hard time. It was that version. So yeah.
But Mint
So
is a
yeah.
better alternative to Ubuntu, because what Mint basically is just Ubuntu, but we strip out all the stuff that's bad about Canonical.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never worked with cinnamon before, but I kind of like it. I want to try that. I want to try that pop series that's in the System 76.
Oh, Pop OS.
Yeah, the Pop OS. I haven't tried that one.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I've been mainly just using OpenSUSE. And that's been working well with me.
Oh, okay. I want to try to, for my Linux one, I want to try to get that Linux everything. It's like a 9 gig download. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, so I'll get those sheets all gathered up and I'll send them over to TJ. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And then, yeah. All right.
So
have a good night, Alex.
Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Have a good night.